Red card for Nick Pope, which, remember, he cannot now play in the League Cup final next weekend at Wembley against Manchester United. But that's to come. First of all, we mentioned Nunez. He's had his critics in front of goal. Is he getting into his stride a little bit for you?
Well, you know my thoughts on him, Steve. I think this player could be anything he wants to be. I admit, at the moment, he's a little bit hit and miss. His finishing is, you know, is average at times. But he does some things that get me off my chair, and I think, wow, really do think, wow, he could be absolutely anything. I do think, not disappointed, but surprised how many gaps he's got in his game. I still think he's a very raw player. But you see on occasions he does things that are just top class. So I think he could develop into a really, really good player. And that finish today was one of those things that takes your breath away.
Sorry, Steve. I have no doubts about his finishing ability. He gets in, he works so hard for the team. He's up and down. He covers probably as much ground as any Premier League player. But when it comes to that final bit, that finishing bit, that's what worries me. But then the goal today showed like his 20th goal of the season. He actually got a really good touch, and then the connection with the ball. He didn't think about placing it or anything. Maybe Shearer, like, he just got his head down and asked straight through the middle of the ball, and it's past Nick Pope in a blur, really.
No, as I said, Newcastle conceded just 13 league goals all season. 1 goal in 6 home Premier League games. But what went wrong today with the 2 goals?
Well, we said it before, 2 goals after 17 minutes. It's totally unlike Newcastle. You said the defensive record's been one of the reasons why they're in the top 4 all season, and I know Mo spoke about it at half-time. I think if you want to look at, when it comes to Trent, I want to see... sorry, I was worried about his. I thought it was a signal. Play it on there, Mo, just.
Yeah, I think it's the switch, isn't it, that's they're very worried about.
Yeah. I mean, that space as well, Steve, is massive. We spoke about it at half-time. Trippier gets sucked into Andy Robertson on the left wing, claiming for a handball. But this is what I'm talking about now. His touch was brilliant. His touch gave him the chance. A bad touch there, maybe Pope's on it, or it might give Trippier a chance of making a block. But the touch sets it up beautiful, doesn't it?
Yeah, no, exactly that. I do think if we take it right back to when Trent knocks it over, Shay, we spoke at half-time about Trippier and his position in all this. Do you think... I mean, he's purely anticipating that switch of play, isn't he? Over to Andy Robertson. Whereas, Steve, this is the one that you've got to make sure that is safe before you start anticipating anything. I do think, and he starts creeping.
Even if you put a blanket over the Newcastle team, they've pressed it down one side, which you say is really good setup from a Newcastle point of view. It's just Trippier, as you rightly says. He's got his eye on Robertson, and he actually gambles, Steve, at this point. I think if he holds his ground, when this ball's played into Nunez, he's going to be on him, isn't he?
Absolutely.
He's going to be there.
I mean, look how close he is. He can get there.
By the time the ball travels,
he can absolutely get there. But look at this. Give it a couple of seconds, and all of a sudden he still hasn't played it. And look at the distance. It doubles, it trebles, maybe.
Yeah.
And then that's all Nunez needs.
And take nothing away from the delivery as well.
You take that for granted, don't you?
You do, but it's an unbelievable, ball from Trent as well. And it's a great touch, and Nunez just flushes the ball straight down the middle.
Now, talking to Nunez in front of goal, what about Cody Gakpo? What a week for him. A Merseyside derby goal. And another smart finish that impressed you today?
Yeah, it was. It was a very good finish. You know, he was part of the build-up to start with. I do think there's massive holes to be picked in the Newcastle defence here, which I haven't said much this season, but Mo Salah's ball, the vision, was incredible, and it had a lot of spin on that ball. His first touch was the key, and it was a decent, solid first touch. Kept it close enough to him to then put the finish in. But he's been scoring, of course, got his first one in the Merseyside derby, which was a great boost for him. And we know he comes with a record of scoring goals, so it's good to see him getting goals in the red shirt now.
Go on then, pick away in the Newcastle back line.
Yeah, well, as I say, this time the ball breaks on the left-hand side, and Gakpo is part of the build-up. But there's a couple of things in the centre, Shay, and we'll forward it and take it back as well. But you like the run of Henderson here.
Yeah, brilliant.
Moving into that.
What happens is, if you just pause it there again, go roll back a few, just more. So the 3 midfielders of Newcastle, you can see Longstaff, Joe Linton, and this is Anderson here now, right? So he looks over his shoulder, he sees Henderson. Really, he should be here in this position. But watch Henderson run. If you just watch Henderson, doesn't touch the ball, Steve. But look, Anderson gets dragged in. Now there's a big, massive space here. I know Mo spoke brilliantly at half-time about these two pointing, but that space is massive in your midfield. And that's only because of Henderson done a selfless run, really, wouldn't it, to create the space?
Yeah, absolutely. And we see here, in fact, we'll see that both players here for Newcastle, Burns and St. Maximin, they're both pointing to each other. Dan Burns is thinking Trent Alexander-Arnold, but originally he was picking up Mo Salah, but I think it was easier to pass him on. Mo Salah's coming in this direction, back towards the goal. I think it was easier to pass him on to St. Maximin. That's what he was trying to tell him. But all of a sudden, none of them, they do neither. And as soon as Henderson, as soon as the ball comes from Fabinho into Mo Salah there, then there's nobody picking him up. And then it's this area, Shay, that I'm not sure about at all. You've got Kieran Trippier at the back, at the post. He can see everything.
Yeah.
But Cher, I don't know why, he just runs out.
He gambles, he just gambles. I think he's trying to play an offside on his own, basically, and it's a poor choice. He's got to stay with the runner, he's got to drop off. We've just seen Mo Salah, there's no pressure on the ball, Steve. As a defender, if there's no pressure, your automatic thing should be actually going the other way, not stepping up on your own. It's a poor mistake from Cher.
If the ball had been rolled back, you're fine with your back foot all squeezed up 3 or 4 yards, but actually he was coming forward and he still ran out. I don't know why he did it, but take nothing away from the Liverpool goal there. That was a really well-worked goal. Good timing of the run, good first touch, good finish, and, of course, a sublime ball by Mo Salah.
Then on 22 minutes, absolute heartbreak for Nick Pope. And remember, he will not be able to play in the Wembley Cup final next weekend. As I said to you at half-time, try and take us inside a goalkeeper's mind here.
Yeah, well, we know Alisson, the other goalkeeper, can do this. He can ping a ball 70, 80, 90 yards. And at this point, you know, he's got a good start position. We'll look at it a bit more on the touch table, but you can see here his foot movement a wee bit to the side, a wee bit forward, a little bit stop-start, should we say, as a goalkeeper, Steve. But then he makes a mistake. He doesn't get a clear connection with the head, you can see. He basically face plants into the ground, and his natural reaction as a goalkeeper is to grab the ball. You know, it's easy to stand here in the cold light of day and go, take your hands away, let Mo Salah go. Kieran Trippier may have got a tackle in. But just as a goalkeeper, even the kids watching, you just want to grab it because that's what you've done all your life. You know, you've made a mistake, and
it's just pure instinct.
It's instinct, yeah. It's instinct, and it's a poor mistake. And the biggest thing, as you said at the start, Steve, he misses the cup final. I mean, he's been, I don't know, many times nominated Player of the Month. He's had an unbelievable career at Newcastle.
12 clean sheets.
12 clean sheets, and it just shows you not everything in football is a fairy tale. He's going to miss the biggest showpiece of the week, you know, next week at Wembley, and now who starts for Newcastle in the final?
Well, we'll come to that in a moment, but you've got another angle.
Yeah, this is the angle.
Ball, is it?
Well, me and Mo just started talking off air about the setup. So obviously we got Trippier on the ball, and then we look at the Newcastle from an attacking point of view. Decent players in the box, but my concern now as a goalkeeper or a defensive coach or whatever they're called this day is this too much space? Mo Salah, one of the quickest players in the Premier League. Is that Longstaff perhaps be a bit deeper, or at least a defender maybe halfway in or something? Newcastle not thrown all the chips in, but they've gone pretty forward here, Mo, with this.
Yeah, well, if I'm Mo Salah, the ball's going to go over my head.
Yeah.
And I can't do anything. I'm basically just blocking a direction, you know, giving the goalkeeper a line, blocking a direct shot to near post. I've got a useless job, really. As soon as that ball goes over my head, I'm making that run. I don't care. I'm just running because there's so much space there. And, of course, the goalkeeper
just on this angle. So, obviously, Trippier and Alisson goes, but look at Nick Pope's position now. That's
happy with that?
That's a brilliant position.
You're happy with that? No problem there?
No problem there at all. He's in a really, really aggressive starting position because, again, they've nobody on the halfway line as a Newcastle defender. So your last man at the back is obviously Nick Pope, and I'm happy as the goalkeeper.
It does look vulnerable from a defensive point of view. I mean, I'd like my centre-half pro or somebody around that area. Maybe one there would be perfect. But anyway, they don't do it, and their worst nightmare comes true, and we'll just run it in normal speed to start with.
Credit Alisson as well. First coming for the cross and taking it. And if you just pause now, you see Pope's initial after Alisson kicks it, Steve, is actually to go back the way. So again, he's maybe he should have stayed where he was. I think that he would have made the bit at the end a bit easier. But also, we mentioned at half-time, is the spin in the ball. When Alisson kicks it, it actually comes across the ball, and the ball's spinning away from Nick Pope all the time. So it makes it more difficult.
Well, let's have a look at it, because you pointed out Nick Pope is indecisive, and you can see him, he backpedals, he stops, he starts, he's not sure there.
Yeah.
Shall I go?
And then he goes sideways a bit, and now the ball's going away, it's in Mo Salah's favour now.
Yeah.
And then again, he just gets a bit flustered after he doesn't get the real clear header on it, and it's no choice. The referee has to send him off.
Let's just have a look, Shay, at what you're talking, because I think this angle is fantastic in terms of the spin of the ball. When Alisson kicks it, if we just play this slowly, just have a look at this. The ball sets off.
It comes across it, yeah.
The left-hand side of the goal here, and look where it ends up. Look at the spin on that. And that foxes the goalkeeper.
Yeah, it does. But as I said, if Nick had stayed at the very start of that, you know, the start of the clip there, higher up, his first reaction was to drop off. So it's just, I feel for Nick, next week he's going to miss the final, and as I say, he's one of the star players this season. Yeah, heartache for Nick Pope, but another very good day for Liverpool. We're delighted to be joined live now by Virgil lead 10 men. Newcastle at half-time at St James's Park. Lots to get through. Let's get straight into it. First of all, Darwin Nunez. Let's talk about him in front of goal. He's had some critics. What about the finish, first of all, Michael? Yeah, I mean, he's not the most convincing finisher on the whole just yet, is he, in a red shirt? But this is very convincing. The ball bounces up lovely, takes his touch, comes off the chest, not the arm. Of course, VAR had a look at that. We can quite clearly see, bounces off the chest, and it's just so tempting when the ball's
popping up like that to strike it. I would normally place in this situation, but I can get the temptation. When it bounces like that, it's so nice. Knee over the ball, and it's 1-0. Great finish.
That was 10 minutes in. From a Liverpool point of view, very positive. From Newcastle's, you two have had a look at this. The best defence in the Premier League. Only 13 conceded before this game. What went wrong?
Absolutely. Well, I'm going to ask Shay in parts of this. We'll look at it in a little bit more detail. So Liverpool are building the ball up here on the right-hand side, and it comes to Trent, and we always know that Trent Alexander-Arnold, if we just slow it down a little bit, when he gets in these positions, it's so tempting, and we've seen it many times, Shay, for him to make this massive switch from side to side. Now, what we've already got is a couple of runs. Gakpo has made this run, and it's taken his man, Cher, a little bit out of position. But this is not so bad. And if I just take it back a frame or so, just have a look at Trippier there at the top of the screen. He's in control there. He can get to both players. But the one thing that you've got to do, Shay, is protect this ball, isn't it? Not the switch.
Yeah, I think what you'd say as well, Mose, you're squeezing this side of the pitch. So Newcastle have squeezed Liverpool down one side of the pitch. The least dangerous player on the pitch, in my opinion now, is Andy Robertson out here on the left-hand side. But as you say, if you roll it on just slowly, Mo, you'll see Trippier, he's thinking exactly what you said. Trent Alexander-Arnold's going to do a big switch, and now we see the gap between these two is way too big.
Yeah, the gap's got way too big, and he can't recover, Steve. And all of a sudden, the ball is over. He tries to recover, but he's anticipated it, and you can't anticipate. You let it go to that wide player. You let the switch
In all fair, I'll give the kiss of death. I said Nunez struggles with his finishing, but
we weren't going to bring that up.
That's a brilliant finish. I mean, he's just took a great touch, and then he's actually flushed the ball straight down the middle. It's a great finish.
What a week Cody Gakpo's having. Monday night scores his first goal in a Merseyside derby, and he's followed it up today. Yeah,
well, we saw in the World Cup that he can score goals. You look at his stats from previous clubs in Holland, and he's a goal scorer. And you know, as you say, big week for him. That's a lovely touch. Not easy. The spin had loads of spin on the ball from Mo Salah, and he controlled it really well. And of course, another good finish. And again, we'll have a look at it in a little bit more detail. This time it builds up down the left-hand side, and he's actually involved in it. And it's quite interesting, actually, because if I just highlight here, down here, we've got Dan Burn, who is on Mo Salah. That's almost a comfortable position. But what we have got is Trent Alexander-Arnold just starting to make this run. And he actually plays a big part in this, Steve, because the combination between St. Maximin and Burn, when we just sort of see them both come into shot here, and I'll just forward it slightly more, because both of them start pointing. They're both looking at each other saying, is this your man or is this my man? Burn can see this happening. I cleared that. Burn can see this happening here, and you can see him pointing, already thinking, right, there's trouble ahead. And when we just forward it slightly, all of a sudden they've got a problem, because Mo Salah has dropped off Dan Burn into this pocket here, nobody picking him up, and Burn is obviously conscious of Trent Alexander-Arnold. And when I forward it onto Mo Salah getting the ball here, there's a problem in the back here. Cher, I don't know what he's doing. He just runs out. Don't know why. Trippier can actually see his man, and all of a sudden there's a problem. And when we forward it, look at Cher just run out here. He just moves out of position. I don't know why he does that, Cher.
Yeah, it's poor defending. Poor defending. It's a poor goal with one of the best defences in the league. They open far too open, Steve.
So that was 2-0. Then the heartbreak for Nick Pope. Shay, try and take us inside a goalkeeper's mind here.
Well, we've seen Alisson do this a lot of times. It's not the first time we've seen this. So Pope's got a really high starting position, which is fine. But he just gets mixed up, Steve, at the final part. What I would say on Alisson's kick itself, we'll see it now. We know we call it the sidewinder as a goalkeeper. He's come across the ball, and the ball's sort of spinning away from Nick Pope now at this stage. So he goes with his head, and then he gets a bit flustered, I think. It's just a natural human reaction as a goalkeeper. He gets it wrong. Let's be honest, he gets it wrong. It's a mistake. But instead of letting Mo Salah probably go on ahead and maybe trying one of the defenders to get back, he's got flustered in his head, and he's pulled it back, because it's a natural reaction for a goalkeeper to hug the ball in. And the ref's left with no choice. He has to go off. It's a red card. And the biggest thing, and actually even talking about it, I feel so sorry for Nick Pope, is he's going to miss the cup final next week. He's been one of the star players of Newcastle's whole season. He's been player of the month numerous occasions, and now he's going to miss the Wembley Cup final next week. It's so sad for him.
And it feels like you've given us real insight there. Maybe from St James's in 1999.
Tell me you haven't got that, have you?
No.
I've been sent off.
Tell us what happened.
I've been sent off once in my career.
14 minutes in.
Similar situation, and it's handball. Actually, the referee says it wasn't a handball. I looked over the linesman's flag, and who was the linesman? Howard Webb that day.
Wow. There you go. Here are the quick thoughts of the Liverpool manager, Jurgen Klopp.
Jürgen, 3 points on the road, a satisfying evening?
Yeah, absolutely. Against 10 men for that long time, of course, you could create more, you could score more, but we lost in that moment a little bit of momentum, didn't get it 100% back, and left the door open for Newcastle. And when you create or course that many set pieces, then yeah, you are not outnumbered. It's actually not important how many players you have in that moment, because 5-6 players are enough to be a proper threat. So it made it difficult, but in the end, in our situation with that long, somebody told me last time we had a clean sheet away from home, is like, it was in April or whatever.
It was here.
Yeah, crazy, to be honest, but that shows something, and so I'm really happy. It's not that I thought that when everybody could see it was not a perfect performance, but the goals we scored were perfect.
But another very good day for Liverpool. We're delighted to be joined live now by Virgil van Dijk at St James's Park. Virgil, good to see you again. Well done. Pretty good week.
Yeah, something to build on. So gaining confidence slowly, step by step. And today was a very important one. So recovery, and then we'll be ready for Real Madrid.
And particularly today, because we know the record Newcastle have got. In fact, you were the last team to win there back in April.
Yeah, so someone had to do it, but that says it all. You know, it was a tough game, tough place to come, of course. We've seen it over the years. You know, passionate fans. I like the atmosphere quite a lot, but yeah, it's always a challenge here, and especially this season they have been outstanding. And for us to, you know, come away with the win was important, but obviously we could have scored more. And there were also moments in the game that we could have done better as well. But you know, I think it was a mental question at one point that they actually had the red card and then changed the game a little bit.
Virgil, well played. It's Michael Owen here. I was just wondering, does it feel at the moment that there is a little bit of a turning point? A tough week, you know, Merseyside derby, away at Newcastle. Not only 2 big results, but you've got a lot of your big players back, yourself included. Does it feel like all of a sudden now you can go on a run and get back to the Liverpool of old?
Well, let's hope so. You know, we have to stick together at all times, through the good times, through the bad times, and I think the manager said it quite well over the last couple of weeks, is how you deal with the situation, how you deal with the you know, where we are at this stage, and that includes us as players, staff, but also the fans. And obviously we have a fantastic squad. We have seen it obviously over the last couple of years, and it doesn't change easy overnight. You know, we have to believe we'll find a way, and we're slowly gaining the confidence, and hopefully we will you know, go on a nice run. But it starts, you know, doing the basics, doing the hard work, and doing it all together. And obviously, it helps a lot if the squad is as big as it can, with everyone fit and confidence too.
Yeah, and just finally on that, Virgil, when you see the likes of Jota and Firmino coming on today, Diaz back training, I mean, for a teammate, the amount of options attacking-wise you've got back now.
Well, it's needed. We play for Liverpool, one of the biggest clubs in the world, and we need that quality, whether it's coming off the bench, obviously starting, but coming off the bench is as important to make the difference. And today, when they all come on, I think we could have scored obviously more, but maybe they want to keep it for the next match. So yeah, we keep going.
Brilliant, and great to see you back as well today. Thanks very much indeed for joining us.
Thank you very much, guys. Have a nice evening.
Virgil van Dijk live for you.